Miclat Podcast Syndicate production. Each of us runs a different pace in life.
As a millennial or someone coming of age into adulthood, it's just a lot of things to process, and a lot of things that you want can't happen now because a lot of things are
In love, friendships, and our own self-worth. As we embark on these journeys, we hold the hope to learn a little more each day.
why can't I have whatever they have? And oftentimes I find myself comparing my progress, comparing what I have with other people, even like in the slyest way. It seems like it's a
As we survive and strive to be stronger.
You are really sure and aware of your being as a person and your truth, your core, your everything. Anything that you put out in the table won't be used against you.
So I'd like to welcome you all to love, growth, and freedom.
the different kinds of love that we could see in this world, and on the idea of how love is crazy and how love has different meanings for all of us.
A podcast that believes in love, inspires growth, and advocates freedom. Let me be your friend, your guide, as we all ride the crazy adventure called life. Powered by Gorilla Podcast Syndicate.
Hey lovies, welcome back to another episode of Love, Growth, and Freedom with Adrian Duarte. And today I have a special guest with me, Miss Roma Miclat of the Roma Miclat podcast. Hi Roma,
Hi,
how are you?
Hi, Adrian. Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me to your podcast show. Hi, everyone. This is my official first guesting. So, woo.
Really? Oh, see, now I'm
Yes.
grateful to be even having you here in our podcast because it's a season of gratitude, and in this goal or in this episode, we are trying to break some stereotypes. We are going to try and break some old traditional things that when we
Mhm.
talk about strangers. And you know, growing up, we were warned not to talk to strangers, diba? As I grew old, that fear and prejudice in talking to a stranger has slowly faded away. I've realized that as I try to connect with other people who shares the same interests as I do, the interest in things and passion, I grew to learn a lot from these strangers. Yeah, right. So I
Yes.
invited Rama here with us today because she and I are technically internet friends. Yes.
Yes.
When we started to be, we were strangers, and she took the leap of asking me to guest in her podcast. But we've had some interactions before. But
Mhm.
the thing here is that if we never had those kind of gut feel of trying to just meet with someone and just get to know them more, we would not even be able to have another episode together, or not even have an episode together. And that's really, really awesome. So I would just want to ask you, Roma, what are like some lessons that you got from strangers? What are the important lessons like you've like in life? I'm sure you've met a lot of strangers in your life. And what were the lessons they taught you?
Wow. First question is like, wow, already.
Yes, dropping the bomb.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
I've learned a lot actually because I'm the person who would love to talk with people. So I'm an extrovert who turned to be an ambivert because of, I've been staying home for too long. But I love talking to strangers. And well, if I will pick like a couple of lessons that I've learned is just, well, I'm on top of my head is we don't know what a person is going through just because they are putting things on the internet, let's say Instagram, Facebook, social media. What they put there are the highlights of their lives, but they are going through a lot underneath. So it's like there's always a story, there's always maybe there's a sad story behind a happy picture. For example, they posted something they're very happy and they put it on Instagram. But when I talk to them and I would ask them, "Oh, I saw your post. It was blah blah blah. You were say in this country." And oh yeah, that was also the time when we were, we had this thing going on and it was bad and it was unforgettable because it's so bad. So I realized that there are other reasons why people post, photos on
Photos, yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, not just the highlights, but at the same time, it reminded them of the, sad story, but they don't talk about it on social media.
Yeah, and
So
those are
that's
some
one
things that,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, and those are some things that we don't really share out into the world
Yes.
as well because we deal with it on our own. Yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy, don't you think, that a lot of the things that we do, like even we were really taught to be scared of strangers, to be, stranger danger, stranger alert, don't talk to
Yes.
any
Yes.
strangers. But we didn't realize that also a lot of the people in our lives started as strangers, right?
True.
And
Yes.
you telling me as an extrovert, which we all know and we can sense in this episode that you are an extrovert, and we've been
Yes.
through that conversation for a while now.
Yeah.
Um, what are the things? Well, now we know that you initiate conversations as well, right? So, what are the
Mhm.
things that would impulse you or like get your attention to actually want to get to know someone? What are the things that you know, is it just random people that you just say, oh, you seem nice, let's be that? Or are they people that you've already, for example, just met along at the bar tonight and you're like, oh, you seem nice, or that person just approached you? What are the things that you'd actually consider before approaching someone you don't really know?
Um first it's gonna be the overall aura of the person. I'm not sure if you believe in that because I believe in
Mhm.
vibes and aura and those stuff. And that's one major thing that I noticed. So, for example, I'm in a party or I'm somewhere like coffee shop or whatever. I check the aura or my vibe with the person because that's how I gauge if I want to engage to that person.
Yeah.
So next thing would be like um how they interact or body movements basically, like are they the type of person who would be happy to talk to someone they don't know, or because sometimes there's the thing that ilang, they don't
Yeah.
like, they're very inclusive when it comes to their circle. So even if they are in a party or they're in a crowd, they don't welcome other people within the
Yeah.
circle. There are those types of people. So if I meet those types of people and I want to engage, sometimes I single them out. It's like, I would get some drink and then, oh, hey, it's so nice that you're
Yeah.
here, those things. And, oh, by the way, blah, blah, blah. I start a conversation right away. Then if it picks up from there, then we move forward. If not, then I understand they don't want to, have a
Yeah.
moment with you.
So those are like the small talks. I mean, that's true. No, if
Yes.
there are people in parties where you just feel like they don't want to be, engaging
Mhm.
to a lot of people. Well, since we're extroverts, I know that we're not those kinds of people. I would actually remember myself going to parties and you'd see me in different circles because I'll try to get to know people and be like,
You're the
oh, okay.
butterfly of the group.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, yes, we're gonna pollinate the other one and then we become
Yes.
friends. Yeah. But I also do have days where I don't even want to be bothered by anyone. Like
Mhm.
when you said now you're an ambivert. Also, I think I've developed
Yes.
being into an ambivert, but there are days that you don't really want to deal with people. So
True.
I'm not gonna go, I'm not gonna go light on you. My questions are really gonna be like crazy for you on this one because
Yes.
this topic is really awesome for me because I don't know if I am the only person who has that same curiosity. I actually enjoy making new friends, and I've had experiences where you
Mhm.
know I came up to no, somebody came up there. I was like in a bar drinking in New York, and somebody came up, and it was a really nice. He was an old white man, and then he tried to talk, and I did not construe it as he was trying to hit on me or whatever. He just really said, "Oh, I just want to have." I would be friends. I want to have a conversation. And I was like, okay, sure. And then we talked. I even asked him, and there were a lot of things I learned from him. I actually learned from him that he figured out that he was gay after getting married and all that. And it was really just,
Oh.
and if I did not try to listen to that, I probably wouldn't have known that parts of the world. So there's that
Mhm.
certain thing, right? But coming to that, my question is for you, was there a moment that a stranger in your life was kind of just like a hermit that came out of nowhere that gave you a pot of knowledge and you're like, whoa, right?
I was not prepared for this, something like that.
Yeah.
Because I haven't gone out for more than 6 months now, so I really wouldn't like a personal like face to face
Yeah.
experience. I don't have that, but I'd say it would be something related to podcasting because I'm really happy when my listeners who would message me and send me emails or they would open up on how they had realizations after they listened to the episode or that they needed that episode. They didn't know they needed that episode. So it's something that I would say random. It's like something that I got from strangers because I don't know them. They are not my friends, they are not part of my family, they are like friends, extended friends, followers, totally strangers. So I learned from them that, oh my gosh, there are people who can relate and who really needed or wanted to listen or hear these things that we are trying to tell them, to tell the listeners. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah, so technically you were their hermit. You were their
Yeah, I think it's
hermit.
yeah. I think that's how we can say that. Yeah, yeah.
And that's what's beautiful about the whole thing of podcasting, actually. And
Mm,
I know we're going through a lot of like the branches we're talking about, but there are a lot of benefits when we when we talk and we try to talk to strangers, right?
mm,
There are chances that it develops your confidence when you,
yes.
yeah, like you feel like the world is at your palm and everybody's just really kind, right? And you try it
Mm.
and they respond very well. Do you have any moments where like you tried to approach someone and they just really just shot you down badly? Was there any moment like that for you?
So far, I don't have.
And that's
So
good. That's
totally no.
good.
Yeah, I can't remember anything that I was shut down. Yeah, no, I don't think I have
Well,
it.
because your vibe obviously is not something to be shut down, to be honest. I
Thank you.
I mean,
I
if
think
I
it
were
has something
to
to do with the bold lips or
I
something.
know. True, true. And your confidence and your superhero poses when you do that. But it's really, you would actually know, right? There's an
Yeah.
intuition that comes to it when you know this
Mm,
person is a little sketchy or not sketchy. And
yes.
that kind of thing is what you actually have to just be on the lookout for. But there are a lot of things that you can learn from strangers. What's your favorite like you told us about that, that people don't really show whatever it is out there. Was there any
Mm,
stranger for you, like for example on my end? I so this is crazy, this is a crazy story. I was on Grinder. It's an app for gay dudes, but
mm,
it's usually a carnal thing.
yeah.
But on my end, what I did with the guy, we did not do anything. We just actually he sold me a shirt. I went to his place and we ah, so so what happened was we I went to his place. Nothing really happened. We just sat down out. We drank a few bottles,
Mm,
and then we talked about politics. We talked about boy love series. We talked about
mhm,
everything, and I learned a lot. And
mhm,
he was telling me that there are a lot because he works somewhere like in the media stuff, so he knows a little
mhm,
more than the normal people would know, like the behind the scenes of the government and all that kind of thing. So there are a lot. So we were discussing that very nicely, intently. So I learned a lot from him. So there was a lot of. Were there any moments for you with a specific person that you thought it was just gonna be, an airhead kind of thing, airhead conversation, or it was just gonna be like a small, small talk, and that's it, nothing deep that goes and comes of it. Like, did you have
uh-huh.
any of those moments? Do you any recall any moments like those?
I would probably say one of my guests on the podcast. I'd say strangers because I mean there's really no connection. Like I know him because she's the sister of my housemate. That's it. We don't know. We barely know each other. So I had her on my podcast episode, and that was the self awareness. And then her name was Regina Cello, and when we started recording and discussed the topic, I found myself opening up to the to that amazing woman, and she somewhat helped me. bring out the emotions that I was trying to release for more than a year. And I even remember her telling her after the recording that you are so good. Pwede ka sa MLM or insurance, because it's like when you talk to her, you will learn a lot of you will learn a lot of things about yourself and life in general. So she's like this guru that you needed on that moment when you meet her, when you talk to her. And you will feel so light after you talk to her. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I needed this." So that's something that for me it's a personal thing. It's a personal sort of personal journey, that conversation that we had, because I learned so much about myself. Like for example, I fully understood why at times we are so emotional and sensitive to the people around us. And that's because we are seeking attention, but we don't want to admit it. That's the part that I didn't realize before. And it's always the three-letter word, ego, ego, ego. So, and that she mentioned that I needed validation. Like, I don't want to admit that, but that's true. That's what I needed. I learned that yes, I needed validation. Like, but we don't tell people, hey, love me. Show me some love.
Oh, I remember,
Hey,
pick me
choose me, love
and
me,
love
pick me,
me.
Only Meredith girl will say that, but we don't
Only
say that in
Meredith can.
yeah, right. We don't say that in with our families, with our
Yes.
boyfriends, girlfriends, and friends. We don't say, "Hey, validate me today. I need validation. Give me
Yeah.
some love." We don't say that, right? But when I was talking to her, to this person that I barely know, I realized I learned that yeah, I need those things. Like I need to accept it. That I have to acknowledge that emotion, that I needed validation, and it makes me happy, and that's part of being a human being. So
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the biggest and most memorable thing that I learned from a stranger.
I'm just so happy that we are I am just grateful for this season. This season has opened up a lot of doors for me. I got to understand, and like you had a self-awareness episode. I also had that episode with my other friend,
Yes.
and it was also really great. And all of us, self-awareness is very different. And the fact that you were
Yes.
able to open up in that journey, I understand the feeling of like I never knew I needed to let that out. You
Yes. You
never
have
knew.
to.
Yeah. And then when that person came, that person made you feel like it was okay. It was a safe space to do so. And then you'd
Yes.
realize you're like, oh my goodness, I did not know that about myself. Like,
Yes.
right?
Like so
So,
much. There is so much. It's like it's the root of all the somewhat root of all the emotions that we were feeling. Like sometimes it turns out to be a negative emotion. And I learned that if you are feeling down, or if you're feeling like you're questioning yourself, like remember earlier we were having an
yeah.
off recorded talk. When you were having that with yourself, you ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What does it say about me? Something like that, self-aware. That's why I really really love that topic. I really love that episode. It's one of my personal favorites.
Oh my
So
goodness. Cheers to that. Self-awareness for me is really, really important. On that
mm-hmm,
note, I practiced a new thing. You can try
mm-hmm.
this too. It's called an emotional journal. So what I try to write there is
Oh my god, it might be too wet because it's tears.
no, 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 no. It's just when they say emotional journal, you just name the emotion that you feel.
Okay. I thought it's like the journal where you put everything. Oh, okay. Tell me more about it.
You
Tell me
can
more.
just like, for example, this morning I felt happy because this is what I did, this is what I did, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
This morning I felt upset, or this afternoon I felt upset. There is power to naming your emotions, because you get to identify it when you feel it, and then you get to like be
Mm-hmm.
aware of how you can deal with it quicker if you practice writing it down. So it's really self-awareness is a lot of things, but going and see, guys, it's a branch out, but you can do another episode of self-awareness. I would
Yes.
love to, but on that note, I would love to come back to that idea that you had that with a stranger, you had that connection, right? So which means there are a lot of us in the world that we could connect to at a deeper level if we allow it. And
Yes.
the fact that it made you open up, I just feel very happy for you because I think it's a burden off your shoulder when you were able to let that go. And that is true. No one will admit that we need validation because, well, we don't want to seem that way. But
We don't want to be
sometimes,
needy. We don't want,
yeah,
we don't want you don't want to be tagged as, oh, she's a needy person,
yes, exactly.
right?
But I think there's no shame in feeling that,
Mm-hmm.
diba, ever since. But going back to it, there are a lot of other benefits when you are able to, you know, connect with strangers. It doesn't mean that you actually overstep boundaries when connecting with strangers. Simply just doing small talk, showing appreciation, that's enough of us connecting with people because that opens up a lot more doors for you in the future if you get to see each other again or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the my like the benefits that I actually wrote down as we talk about this is it also improves co-working skills. I've also realized that if you have that confidence to actually approach anyone when you're in a new office, you're not gonna feel like, you wouldn't actually care about people thinking that you are such a diva or bida bida when it comes to it. But you're like, well, I'm here to
Yes.
work. What will I do? Not talk
Mm-hmm.
to you at all? There is
Mm-hmm.
that, but it improves your skills in connecting with all those people. And right. And one of my favorites, my personal favorites, is improving my listening skills.
Mm-mm.
Like I've been so have you ever tried to be on the other end of it? For example, like you were with Regina, she was the one who was taking all it in and being able to reflect to you what you were trying to feel. Were you able to be in the other position of it?
Yes. It was a wonderful conversation because she also shared her her journey. I'll just leave it at, because if you want to listen, if you want to know what I'm
Yes.
talking about, yeah,
Go
just
for
listen to
it.
that episode. But yeah, she also shared her journey, and for her, and I found out that with listening, through listening to that episode or to that conversation, I found out that the reason why she's that amazing, awesome woman who how would I say, um, this
Who
amazing woman who became that woman was because of the journey that she had to go through.
and nobody would
And
know
yeah,
that, right? If they just see
yes,
it out of the and that was and it's quite powerful, don't you think, to be on the
it is.
other end of like, yeah. Honestly, that's also one thing I've learned throughout trying to hear strangers is this is also cool. I would also want to plug Alec here. I also listened to one of his episode with Val, I think, when they
Mm-hmm.
said that sometimes we all have to know how to listen and not listen to respond, but listen to understand. So
Yes.
that here, one of the benefits there is that you understand and get to know a person if you try to improve your listening skills with a stranger because you don't really know anything about them. So
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna make you listen intently to understand what's going on.
And
Yeah.
sometimes, can I just add? Sometimes
Go
this
for.
is one thing that I learned when I was already in my 30s. Because when I was younger, I am more. I'll admit this. I'm a
Go for
bit
it.
judgy. I'm a bit judgy before. Like, for example, something happened, and then this person did. Let's say someone did not show up, and they did not do something, for example, automatically I will judge the person that, oh, he's irresponsible, or he's lazy, or something like that. Or for example, a friend of mine would not show up for some reason, but we said that, okay, we'll do this, we'll see each other, we will do this. You came up with an agreement, but they did not show up. Before, I would be judging the person because they did not show up. But now, before I do that, I would ask myself, maybe something happened to that person. I would not jump to the bandwagon of saying, this is not a very nice thing to do. I would always think first that what happened, maybe something happened. Maybe there's a very good reason why the person did not show up. Maybe she needed something or he needed something. You know, I wouldn't jump right away on judging the person. That's one thing that I learned in this up to this point that we are having this conversation, that who are we to judge? We should
Definitely.
understand where they are coming from, and if they are coming from the wrong place or the bad place, then we should also try to help them and bring them to the right place so that they will have the right mindset. If it's something like, if they are in a dark place, you try to help them, but you don't judge them, you
That
don't
is
blame them as well.
that is really, really powerful. I think that's also one of the hindrances, right? When we
Mm.
don't want to talk to strangers, or we don't really try to connect with people around us, because we quickly, like, we look at appearances. We If they look like this,
Mm.
we have to withhold judgment on that end, because we don't really know what every person is going through, and that's what makes us human, actually, that each and every one of us has a different experience, a different way to explain how they experience their stuff, experience their things, and how they're feeling about it. So
Yes.
that is very, very true. We have to be
and
really,
I,
really more. Yeah, go for it.
mm. And I'm happy that you mentioned that, personal appearance, and we judge people by, personal appearance, because I've had, back in the day, like, while I was working in my old company, on a previous company. Sorry.
Go for it.
I asked a friend of mine who's a guy, and I told him, can you tell me, like, I was asking for an audit, like, can you tell me what's wrong with me? Because it seems like people are somewhat trying to keep their distance whenever they see me. And then he said, we were outside, we were smoking that time, because I used to smoke before. And he was
Mhm.
saying, because you look mataray,
Mhm.
like you are not approachable. I was like, what? Me? I was
What?
totally like, what? Me? I'm one of the friendliest people. You know that. And then he said, yeah, I know that. But that was also my impression to you. So you see, impression plays a very big role. So for example, you're very balidos, or you dress a certain way, say, because when I was working, I used to dress up very corporate.
Prim and
So
proper.
yeah, very prim and proper, makeup on point, heels on point, dress on point, because it's me. That's how I work. That's how I operate. I
Yeah.
have to. This is how I do things, and people will judge you no matter what. So
Yeah.
even if you're friendly, even if you're not thinking bad things about others, they will give they will put you in a certain box that, she's not approachable. Oh, she looks mataray. Oh, maybe she's
Very.
she's very snob. But
She's a
and
bitch.
then yeah, she's a bitch. That's the thing. And but my friend told me, that guy friend of mine, he said, but when I met you, it was like totally placed in a bin. Like, that impression of mine was like, oh, it's not true. She's okay. She's cool. She's this person. And I was like, okay. So, but if you're listening to this, and if you are going through that, say, people are judging you, it's not on you, it's on them, because they are
Yeah,
placing their judgment on you. You don't have to change
definitely.
yourself. That's
Definitely.
you. That's how you are. That's who you are as a person. And you don't have to change yourself every time you meet someone. You know, if
Exactly.
if people are judging us, it's on them.
Yeah, and you learn. You actually, what
Yes.
this whole conversation is very amazing, because you've seen how the benefits of learning from strangers also gives you that
Yes.
wider perspective. So it changes your perspective and makes you learn more that a lot of the people in the world are also just so complex. You can't really put
Mhm.
anyone in a box. I'll honestly get that too. Where people would say I look mataray, I'm
Mm.
intimidating, and the recent
Yes, that's
one,
the word, intimidating.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, you're intimidating. I was like, me? No.
yeah, exact same reaction. Like, me? Like, have you seen me? Like, have you really seen me? Really, like, really. So I also
Yeah.
had that. Like recently I had that. Someone
Mhm.
said you. Someone really just told me, "Are you? You know what? You were too much." And I was like, "What? Me? Too much?"
Yeah.
But I know in my head I am too much. But I'm not like
Mm.
mean or anything. And I asked my friends, my closest friends, and I was like, "You think I'm too much?" I'm like, You think I'm too much?" And they're like,
I like
"Yes." Yes, but we love you. And I'm like, well, I love me too. I don't care if I'm too much. I'm like, I want to that. I don't care if I'm much. And I told him, I was like, I thought you were an airhead. I was honest. Yeah, I thought you were an airhead. But see, really first impressions don't last. And I really did
Yes.
enjoy the connection I had with that person because I was able to talk to him also. And that was also the time that I
Mm.
also lend an ear as someone like,
Yes.
and I keep telling this to people I actually meet, so like
Mhm.
somehow in the internet, somebody new. I'm like, do you want to share anything? They say it's beneficial to release your emotions to some
Mm.
stranger. And I think add up to this if you have anything to say on this one, because I want to hear your thoughts. But the only thing I think about is that when you try to talk to a stranger like you feel like you can vibe with, is that they don't really have much of anything to go on about you actually. They don't have an expectation of who you are, what you should be, what are you doing in your life, and who you are. And even if they judge you, they don't really have enough basis until they meet you and talk to you. So that's why it's easier to open up to them sometimes because there's nothing. They don't have a track record of your life. They did not see you during your prom. They did not see you during your high school. So when you share to them an experience that you're experiencing now, what you are sharing to them and what they get from you is the present moment that you're trying to open up about. So yeah,
Mhm.
do you have any experiences with that? Like have you had that kind of realization to yourself that maybe that's why it's easier for you to talk to strangers?
I would say I agree with everything that you said. Because after I heard what my colleague told me, like what my guy friend told me, I realized that um maybe I should be less judgy with other person, because when I felt that I was being judged on being too intimidating, too snob, too bitchy, I felt bad. I somewhat felt bad that you come to a point of questioning your life choices, your personalities, your personality, and somewhat I even asked myself, am I wearing red too much? Is my heels too high? So it's like you're questioning yourself that you are so used to being that person for how many years, and it's not a good feeling. So I was like, if I don't want to feel that, I should not treat other people that way too. So that's what I learned. So that's something that I guess that's why it's easier for me to talk to people, because I don't place judgment beforehand. It's like no expectations at all. Like even
Yeah.
if they come up with me with say they're wearing very plain clothes, it's fine. I wouldn't know, maybe he's a millionaire, maybe they own a lot of properties,
Yeah.
and if they're wearing branded clothes, maybe they're well off, or maybe they're just trying to impress people. I don't know, but the judgment will be far away from me, because that's for me, at least personally, that's how I do it. I don't want to judge people, put my 100% trust to people whenever I meet them. And it's up for them to break that trust, or, for them to make me change my mind, or if I have a certain impression, usually it's best not to not to put anything, or not to have expectations at all. That's the best thing that you can
Yeah.
do, because some most of the people, not will live up to the expectations.
All right. Okay. So wait, we'll have a.
Mhm.
So thank you for all those thoughts. That is really, really true. You don't really have to have an expectation of someone when you meet them. All right. So yeah, that was one of the things that I learned actually when you talk to a stranger. So what are your thoughts on
Mhm.
that one?
I would say that after I had the conversation with that guy friend, and I was told that I was too much. No, no, sorry, cut that. That I was told I look intimidating, I came on too strong, or I look bitchy, I started doubting myself, and it was not a very good feeling. Like when you start doubting yourself, it's never a good feeling.
Yeah.
So after that, I told myself I should not be judging people based on the looks, based on what I see, because there will always be a story behind this person, and maybe this person is amazing. Maybe this person is very inspirational. I wouldn't know if I only based if I only base my judgment on the looks on or how I see him or how I see this person. So I told myself I will not have expectations at all. So just be open to conversations, be open to small talks, because you wouldn't know. That's one
Definitely.
thing
Where
that
would
I
it lead?
learned. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
And
giving the
yeah, no expectations.
and giving people the benefit of the doubt. Honestly, that's like
Yes.
one of
I think
my
that's the word.
that's my favorite thing actually. I remember growing up. I remember being able to so I've had myself being able to cut people out of my life, but not really like cut. Like
Brava. Brava.
I've had
It's
all those.
hard.
It is, but I've had people that I was like, you're not good for my mental space and health. I don't think I. So I did those just once or twice in my life because I don't usually do it out of a whim.
Mm,
I am
mm,
very patient when it comes to that. I give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. So I'm just like,
mm.
okay. But what I do is I let them know about it and I tell them, okay, I don't think I can manage your energy. And I think I'll be a I'll it's best for us to just have that friendship from afar. And that's it.
Oh my
And
God, Adrian, you're the type. I need that. We need more of you. Because personally, I love honesty. Like, I think it's more respectful. Like, if you say, for example, I don't think we can be friends anymore. It's just that, we just don't get to connect. And we can't do that to everyone. And not everyone will understand that. But
yeah.
for me, I value that type of honesty, because if you're
Yeah.
mature enough, you will understand that not sorry, latest episode, not all friendships are meant to last.
Definitely. True enough.
Yes.
True enough. But that's one of
Yes.
the things that I actually, well, see, there are things, again, when you look at it, that's what my ex taught me. That kind of honesty, that brutal.
Mm.
Though he cheated, that the honesty that though he cheated, that wasn't so honest. But the thing going on with that, it was an honest thing. And I was able to express myself either way. But when that
Mm.
came along to friendships, I remember before the first one that happened to me, I just cut her off. I was like, but I did
Mm.
give her a chance multiple times. I'm like, okay, get your crap together, work on what you need to do, maybe focus on
Mm.
this, giving help and getting her aware that
Mm.
whatever she's doing is very self-destructive for her. So it was
Mm.
mainly out of love. And then when she decided not to do anything about it, when she decided to keep going on that destructive behavior, that's when I said, okay, and I'm not gonna be friends with you. I'm not gonna be someone who's going to be, you know, influencing you or allowing you to do anything you want with knowing that it's gonna destroy you. I don't want to be a friend like that, who allows you to just
Mm.
crash and burn. So might as well not be friends anymore. And there was a moment between us where we just didn't talk, and we met at an event, and she
Awkward.
it was at first, but then she like said hi to me. I said hi to her,
Oh.
and she was also doing well and great. And I was, in my end, I was happy for her. Like finally that you're
Mm.
on track with what you're doing, and that's what you want. So I'm happy that you're happy. And then you know what? When we also met another, or she invited me to another campaign to do for PR stuff. And I was like, okay, sure. And she introduced me to all of her coworkers as, oh, he was my college best friend. The word was there. And I was
Mm.
like, it's okay. I mean, for me, I did not feel any offense in that. Plus, I felt good that, we recognize that there was, it did not mean to last forever. But,
Mhm.
that kind of shift and break in that relationship also brought us to where we are today. At least that,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And I did that recently, and that person apologized after a few months. But
Mm-hmm.
it just feels, and now she understands more that I really do have a space in myself that I really just, there is it. When you cross the other boundaries of that, there's a warming up period for me to let you come in, because I'm a very, there's this energy that I want to keep. And if that's
Mm-hmm.
permeated, I don't want it to be like permeated agad. I want it to be, I
Mm-hmm.
allow you to come in. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And I do allow people to come in, but not in a romantic way. Not yet. I told you about that,
Mm-hmm.
but not yet.
Yes.
Not yet either way. But yeah. So before you all move on to our next few questions, our last few questions, let's go on, have a break. So we'll see you again, lovies.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
All right, Rama, welcome back, guys, to our episode about being grateful to
Yes.
strangers. Okay, Rama, I have this thing and I have a few questions for you about this one. So we all, when we go out, I'm sure you're a bubbly person. For sure, you say thank you and you smile at the people who serve you, right? And I mean, that's a
Because it's very
very,
polite to do that.
yes, and it's also for me, it's also relieving that you get to, I know they might be having a bad day, they might be having
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And if you do that to someone, it really uplifts them. So have you received, like, what was a memorable random act of kindness that a stranger has done for you? Like really a complete stranger, not anyone you know from the internet, like a complete blank stranger.
I'd say when this was pre-pandemic, I went to the ladies, I freshen up and stuff, and then I left my wallet in one of the stalls, and everything was there. My life is there. National
Yeah, oh my
ID,
goodness.
credit card, everything, man. Because I don't bring a huge purse anymore. I don't bring that. I always have a wallet with me, which is a man's wallet actually, because I can put everything there. Bills. I
Yeah.
don't go out with coins, kasi. So, and then I was like, and I didn't know. I didn't know. So imagine this is a public restroom, and then I went out. I went back to the cafe. I was brushing. I was all by myself because I always go out and sometimes I date myself. So that was one of those days. So, and then after 5 minutes, I was like, "Where's my wallet?" I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So
I would do the
I tell
same.
you, girl, I'm not a runner, I'm not a cardio girl, but I ran. I was running. I was running. I was like, oh my god, please don't, please, Lord, please, Lord, I'll be very good if I don't lose this thing, because it's gonna be a very tedious it's gonna be tedious if I will lose all of those identification, again, the ATM, credit
Yeah.
cards, and then uh I was on my way back to the restroom, and then I came across with this. I mean, I another girl was walking out, and she saw me running, and there was, maybe because of my facial expression, she
The
was like,
worried face.
"Are you looking? Yeah, are you looking for something?" I was like, "Yeah. Have you seen a wallet?" I described the wallet, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I saw that, and I sent it to the customer service." And then she went with me, and oh, yeah, come with me, she said like that. And then we went to the customer service, and then the customer service needed some identification, and I gave it. And I was like, "Oh my god!" I was, I even, after the girl sent me to the customer service and I picked up my wallet, everything was intact. She said, "Okay, so I'm happy that you got it. Bye." And I was like, "Can I buy you anything? Can I buy you a coffee, cake, whatever you need?" Because I was like, I really want to say thank you, because she practically saved me that day. And then she was like, "No, it's okay. It's really nothing." And then she went away, and I was like, "Oh my god, thank you so much." I remember I had an entry for that in my journal. because it's really something that I never, because usually people will not even care to, send it to customer service or, find the owner. But it's something valuable and it really means a lot to me. And I was like, oh my God, total stranger. Thank you. I believe in humanity.
Yeah, right. Yes. A
Yes,
small act
I
of
believe in humanity.
kindness can go a
Yes.
long, long way. And see, up until then, she
Yeah.
may not know or she may hear this episode or whomever she
Yes.
may be.
If
Like
you are
her
listening to this,
story.
thank you.
Yeah. And her story still reaches this. And that is how impactful if you show kindness to strangers. That's a beautiful story. I would also freak out the way you would freak out because I freak
Oh my
out.
God.
Girl, I freak out. Like, where is it? Like, oh
Cold
my
sweats,
goodness.
girl. Cold
Right. And you're
sweats.
like, your heart just pumping so hard. And you're like,
Oh
oh my goodness. And I would
my
imagine
gosh.
the hassle of going through all those identification. You're gonna call your banks, you're gonna
Yeah.
call this, oh, and your national
My
ID.
gosh.
Oh Lord,
Oh,
that's gonna be tedious. But so those are one of the things that he would really be thankful for and like the strangers in our lives, and sometimes these strangers are our saving grace from things that we don't know we needed saving from.
mm,
And for before we all that my final question for you today is that how do you express your gratitude for situations and strangers that you come across? What are your practices of how do you express it?
I've always been a very honest person because that's one of my personal values. So whenever I
Cheers.
meet someone, yes, and whenever I meet people or strangers, I would always be honest to them and say if we vibe and we share a moment together and maybe possibly become friends, I am loyal to my friends. I am very loyal to my handful of friends. And when I love Adrian, I love hard. I
Mm,
love hard. You know this. We've met. We've been internet friends, but I will support you. I will be your personal cheerer. Um, I will cheer for you. I will celebrate with you. And if you need someone to talk to, I'll be there because I know how it feels not to have someone to talk to if you're sad or if you're very happy. I mean, aside from your family, because
yeah.
families are, of course, they are there for you. They will support you no matter what. Sort of, they don't have a choice because they're
True.
family. But for friends, they can choose to ignore you. They can choose not to support you, but they can choose to support other people, and it hurts if that happens, and it's happening. You know what I
It
mean.
does. Yeah, it does
So
happen.
when I meet people, strangers that I feel they really needed my support, I will give that support to them. Again, kindness will not cost you anything.
Definitely.
You
Yeah,
know, telling them, yeah, yes,
that's no, sorry, that's true because the more you give actually is the more you'll have more. The
mm,
more kindness you give, the more kindness you would also get from within, actually. Kindness
mm,
from yourself, kindness from all that. That's a very, I love it. This conversation had a lot of, turns and detours, but it
mm.
really was amazing. I am grateful for having you
Thank
here in
you.
this episode. Um, so before we all ask you to promote yourself here in our podcast, yes, plug the Roma Miclat podcast, guys. We are all in the same boat of learning things in our lives, and Roma has been such an amazing. It's true. I can testify to her being a cheerleader and all of everything. We actually really we share our posts. Yeah, we share each other's posts. We do everything. It's the love from afar is very very real.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
before we go, I'd like to you, my listeners, hey lovies, why don't you practice gratitude and expressing gratitude today along with us? I'd also invite Rama. Maybe if you have someone you can thank, if you want to thank yourself or anyone, if you have
Mm-hmm.
someone you can thank, a stranger that you just met, you don't really know who they are, you can write it down. It's called a thank you note. Just write a thank you note of
Mm-hmm.
why you're thankful for this person and what that person did for you. You may not be able to send it over to them, but it really helps you understand what are the things that you could be grateful for and these strangers, how they are. You could write them a letter. It can be your Starbucks barista who made you an amazing drink and a smiley on your cup. Thank them in your own words, write it down. They don't really need to know about it, but at least you're able to express that kind of gratitude. And I would love to hear those from you anywhere you want to send them to me, and I would understand and see them. But yeah, so again, thank you, Roma, for joining me
Thank
on
you,
this episode.
Adrian.
That was such a very, very fruitful episode. And I would love to have you over again in my podcast. You guys,
I'd love to.
please. Thank you. And now you can plug to us where you could follow you, see you, and listen to you. And there you go.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity, Adrian. Hi, everyone. So, again, I would like to invite you to listen to the Roma Miclat podcast. I have different series within the podcast. So, I have Adulting 101, I have Empowered Talks, and I also have Standpoint and the main show. And again, also 5 questions with Roma, which, by the way, we had an episode. So I give 5 questions to my guests and they will answer it truthfully. So you can find my show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Facebook, and YouTube. And I am also on Instagram. And you can basically find it or listen to it anywhere you listen your podcast from. So that's it. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
I'm happy to. Wow, this is the feeling pala of being a guest.
Yeah.
Because usually I always ask the questions. I'm sorry kung there are off moments because it's really my first time to be a guest. So it's a very weird feeling for me. I'm like, um
It's
I'm sorry there are
uncharted
off
territory.
moments.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, those
Yes.
are the moments that, are really candid. And it's really, I just, I honestly, with all the episodes that I do with people, I'm just, you know what? It is what it is. Nothing,
Mhm.
it's what we created, and that conversation was everything. So, to all my lovies out there who's listened until this very end, thank you very much for your support and your love. And I would love to see you again on our next episode, talking about how we could be grateful for the journey and the process of getting to our goals. So, with that, bye, Rama, and bye, lovies. All
Bye.
right.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And if you want to know more, check out www.guerrillapodcast.com.au or guerrillapodcast.com.ph. A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate production.